Welcome to the Jaybe Show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. Happy Sunday to every single person. You, and especially you. Welcome to the show. Today we have an interesting and enlightening show to get into. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and give the stream a like. This helps us out very much. So go ahead and do that damn thing to help us be able to reach more people. Deeply appreciate it if you guys have not already. Also, if you guys would like to, you guys can also join our mailing list at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. Gives you notifications wherever we upload any clips or have live streams just like this one. So you guys have that there too. Also, if you guys would like to get in touch with us, you guys can get in touch with us at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com. So you guys can submit any stories or any encouraging words that you guys find that you guys want to give us as well. So appreciate it very, very much. Guys, it has been a great weekend so far. I am exhausted, but I'm exhausted in a good way. Yesterday, I went to this event with Real, and they are a mutual aid as well as a dual power organization. And they, it's an acronym for Revolutionary Education Action League. And they were actually holding an event, which was a fundraiser for their gym. Now, if you guys noticed, last week, I was actually interviewing two members who will be the coaches for Praxis Submission Fighting Gym, which they will be opening soon, to train the community in self-defense. And so because of that, I was there with them as they were raising funds. And I think they raised over $5,000 so far from that event. So I am very happy for them. I'm very proud that they are able to do this. And they are literally doing mutual aid on the ground, as well as trying to help the community as much as they possibly can, especially in the most economically disadvantaged area within Central Florida. So I just really want to applaud them for that. And it was great. I was there the entire day, and they had events. They had teaching sessions. They also had vendors that were out there that were also doing also there for the events as well. The vendors were from small businesses in the area too. So even small businesses that were out there were actually able to, they were able to do business while also encouraging mutual aid and building dual power. So I am very happy that I was able to be out there. Shout out to Real and shout out to People's Free Kitchen and Praxis Submission Fighting for holding this event. And thank you so very much for having me. I really appreciate it from all of you. So I posted a YouTube short showing some of the event yesterday, which you guys have already seen. And thank you so very much for having me out there. So let's get into the comments in the chat, and we'll say our hellos, and then we shall get into these stories today. We have Zero coming in saying, it's a blinding light that shines on the true nature of this country, that we have trillions of dollars to spend on the military, but our kids have to buy something as simple as school lunch. Shameful. We're going to be getting into that because we have some good stories. We have good news stories that we're going to cover today. We have Jimmy Apples saying, whoop, first. Yep. By the way, I didn't have an apple today, but I did have a pear. So that pear was good. You know those Bartlett pears? Those Bartlett pears, man. Number one, they ripe very fast. But besides that, they're so juicy. Like, I literally had to go out on my back porch just to eat it because it was like dripping in juice. Like, okay, that didn't sound right. But anyways, it was a delicious pear. Damn, I should get some more. Where did I get that? I think I got that pear from Aldi. I should get some more. They were so good. Oh my gosh. Bartlett pears. Ooh. Those. And I got the Honey Crisp apples. See, it's apple season right now. So apples are on sale, baby. So it's my time to shine. All right, so good to see you. Terry coming in and saying greetings, JB and comrades. Good to see you, Terry. Nice. All right. Joe says apples are tough on your teeth. I hate those things. They take so much time to eat. Yeah, but at the same time, they work out the jaw muscles. That's the only thing. Yeah. Oh, Honey Crisp. You never heard of Honey Crisp? Oh, you're in for a treat. It's almost like if you take like a Red Delicious and a Granny Smith and marry them together, you get the Honey Crisp. So you get a tart with a great amount of sweet. Oh my gosh, Honey Crisp are so good. Yup, Honey Crisp for life. All right. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go get into these stories because I want to make sure I get into these. So I'm going to start off with the tax story first because I want to cover that. And then I want to end with the good news because I want you guys to walk away floating from the good news, basically, because it's a great day. And I want you guys to be able to enjoy yourselves and not have anything too heavy weighing on your mind. It's Sunday, by the way. So we're going to get into that right now. Let's share the thumbnail. So later in the show, we're going to be talking about good news for the kids. We got some good news. And so we're talking about those stories that's going to be happening in this nation. God knows we need it. But first, we're going to be talking about before you file. And now we're going to be talking about TurboTax. And this is a story that I think we need to know before the 2026 tax season begins. So let's start off with that right now. Next year, starting really on January 1st, many people will begin the process of paying the government or getting a return in money from their government. Tax season is going to be upon us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the story about why TurboTax and the parent company Intuit is so problematic. But I'm also going to be giving solutions on how to be able to file your taxes without going through such a problematic company. Also, we need to talk about how this intersects with how it harms workers. And that's one of the things I want to do for you guys today. So there's a story that recently came out of ProPublica. And ProPublica does a lot of great reporting. They do wonderful reporting, especially in regards to things that workers really go through, just the regular people. And so I would like to give a shout out to them for this report that they put out. It says, inside TurboTax's 20-year fight to stop Americans from filing their taxes for free. The blurb says, using lobbying, the revolving door, and dark pattern customer tricks, Intuit fended off the government's attempts to make tax filing free and easy and created this multi-billion-dollar franchise. So let's get into this because I think that I want everybody to be as informed as possible. And so we'll get into this right now. So as far as what's going on, it says for more than 20 years, Intuit, which is the parent company of TurboTax, has waged a sophisticated, sometimes covert war to prevent the government from doing just that. So what that is, it says the success of TurboTax rests on shaky foundation, one that could collapse overnight if the U.S. government did what most wealthy countries did long ago and made tax filing simple and free for most of its citizens. So this is something that is more unique to the United States, that tax filing is actually not free for its citizens. Who'd have thunk it, right? We talk about healthcare, we talk about housing, we talk about education, but what about tax filing? Right? We got to file our taxes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Japan, they do all the calculations for you. You do not have to wonder and sift through like what do you need to do. Like especially if it's just simple filing, they already know. It's the IRS. Like when you get your paycheck, it's already shown like how much is taxes taken out and what you pay for, line item by line item. So if they already know this, why do you have to file taxes if it's simple one and done? Right? Why do you have to do that? So this is the part that I find very interesting. It's like we actually have to pay people to give the government information that they typically already have. So it says, according to internal company and IRS documents and interviews with insiders, it says the company unleashed a battalion of lobbyists that hired top officials from the agency that regulates it. From the beginning, Intuit recognized that its success depended on two parallel missions: stoking innovation in Silicon Valley while stifling it in Washington. It says the employees ruefully joked that the company's motto should actually be compromise without integrity. So I want to get into this. It says internal documents lay out company tactics for fighting encroachment, Intuit's catch-all term for any government initiative to make filing taxes easier, such as creating a free government filing system or pre-filing people's returns with payroll or other data the IRS already has. For a decade, proposals have sought to create IRS tax software or return-free tax system. All were stopped. And says the company's 2014 to 2015 plan included manufacturing third-party grassroots support, buy ads for op-eds, editorials, stories, and African-American and Latino media. Why would they want to go into African-American and Latino media? Maybe, just maybe, it has to do with those of us who are largely more disproportionately affected economically into being depressed within this nation. And so who's going to be the ones that are most likely to want to file for free? Us, right? And so they got to demonize it as much as they possibly can, because if the IRS actually had a system where they filed the taxes for you for free, what would happen to companies like Intuit and their website TurboTax? What will happen? What will happen to the Jackson Hewitts? What will happen to the H&R Blocks, right? What will happen to them? This is what we're getting into, guys, and it goes deep. All right. Says the centerpiece of Intuit's anti-encroachment strategy has been the free file program hatched 17 years ago in a moment of crisis for the company. Under the terms of an agreement with the federal government, Intuit and other commercial tax prep companies promised to provide free online filing for tens of millions of lower income taxpayers. In exchange, the IRS pledged not to create a government-run system. So basically, their fear was if it was a government-run system, we're done, because everybody's going to want to go on it. So they basically said, okay, well, why don't you let us do it for free, and then we'll get into how they got around it. But they're like, have us do it for free. Don't you guys start anything, right? And this goes in line with what, like, for instance, the big insurance companies, like, they are afraid of having a single payer healthcare system, because they're going to be like, well, we can't compete against the government, because if the government actually has single payer healthcare system, then that means everybody who goes to Aetna, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, United, and many other different health insurance companies, they would drop them like a rock, and then they would move over to a healthcare system that is single payer for everybody. it would literally make the healthcare company, the health insurance companies, the private health insurance companies obsolete. A government ran filing tax service that does it for free for you would make companies like TurboTax, H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, Tax Act, all these companies would be obsolete. Because it's like, why am I going through you when I can just go straight through the government and have my taxes filed? Why am I paying you for when I can have this stuff already done for me? And then no doubt somebody would go, okay, well, even let's say hypothetically, the United States government actually did that. Then somebody can go, okay, I'm going to go to the free one that the government provides, and then I'm also going to go through TurboTax, and I'm going to compare and contrast. And then they go, and it's like, okay, the government crunches the exact same numbers, and they come to the same conclusion. The only difference is with TurboTax, I'm actually paying them to do it. With the government, I'm actually not paying anything at all. Or let's say you got a slightly smaller return with the government, and then you got a larger return with TurboTax, but you still got to pay TurboTax, which means you roughly come out the same anyway. See what I mean? It's not worth it, right? Why are we constantly okay with middlemen when it comes to the things that we have to do in life? Like, we have to pay taxes, right? We live in a civilized society, okay. But the problem is, like, why are we having middlemen to be able to do the taxes? And why is the tax code so difficult to peruse through to figure out? That's a great question. Why does it have to be this complex? Why does it have to be this complicated? Let's get into this a little bit further. It says, since Free File's launch, Intuit has done everything it could to limit the program's reach while making sure the government stuck to its end of the deal. Now, it says Intuit added code to the Free File landing page of TurboTax that hid it from search engines like Google, making it harder for would-be users to find. So you can search all you want on Google. Get on Google and be like, oh, filing taxes for free or free TurboTax or what have you. And you're not going to find it. You're not going to get the link because they hide it. So yes, they said, oh yeah, let us do the free filing, but they don't make it available to you to actually access. Or they make it harder for you to access to file for free. Now, I remember years ago, Hassan Minhaj, when he had his Netflix show, he actually did a report on this. Crazy that a comedian had to do a report on it, and it actually resulted in TurboTax looking like a fool, because they are. They look like greedy merchants, and which they are. And so, figuring this all out, well, TurboTax basically is guilty of all the things that were claimed. Hiding the link to the free file, which they are supposed to, which they have an agreement with the IRS and the government that they're supposed to allow free filing for people who are low income. This is capitalism. That greed is insatiable. So even if you're low income, they don't care. They're going to try to get money from you anyway. And we'll go through that as we go further and deeper into this. So it says 12 years ago, Intuit launched its own free product, the similarly named free edition of TurboTax. But unlike the government program, this one comes with traps that can push customers lured with the promise of free into paying, some more than $200. Free Edition was a smash hit for Intuit in its pitch for free. Prep remains core to the company's growth. Recently, it launched a free ad campaign for the Free Edition, including a crossword puzzle in the New York Times, which the answer to every clue was free. That Intuit knows it's deceiving its customers. Internal company documents obtained by ProPublica show the website lists free, and the customers are assuming the return will be free. Now, that was from a PowerPoint presentation. It says customers are getting upset. It is the internal findings here. It says the website lists free, and the customers are assuming their return is free. Agents are suggesting an upgrade for customers when they don't need it. It says customers need help on their taxes and seem to think if they click on live tax advice, they will get someone live to assist them. They click upgrade and are moving up to live without knowing it. Customers are getting upset when they have to pay more for upgrade, and the only way to downgrade is to clear and start over. Some customers are realizing they have been upgraded only when they notice the increased charge. Agents are struggling to help customers. They seem to not know the troubleshooting steps. Okay. It says Intuit also continues to use dark patterns, design tricks to get users of its website to do things that they don't necessarily mean to do, to ensure that as many customers as possible pay, former employees say. A marketing concept frequently invoked at Intuit, which goes by the acronym FUD, seeks to tap into Americans' fear, uncertainty, and doubt about the tax filing process. So one thing I know, and this is from and guys, make sure to take the poll. But one thing I know whenever I would use TurboTax for tax filing purposes is I'm nervous the entire time. Because one wrong move, it's like, oh my God, if I do something wrong, if I do one wrong thing, the IRS is going to come after me. I messed up. The IRS is coming after me. So they use that fear to maneuver you into upgrading, even though you don't need it. And you are entitled and you qualify for just filing for free. But they want you to pay, so they will make it seem like they're going to help you out even further to file for free. They're going to show that in a second. Let's get to it. It says an Intuit spokesperson declined to answer ProPublica's detailed questions about its efforts to fend off government filing system. And they say they provided a statement that says we empower our customers to take control of their financial lives, which includes being in charge of their own tax preparation. Because government-run pre-filled tax preparation systems that makes the tax collector, who is also the investigator, auditor, enforcer, the tax preparer, is fraught with conflicts of interest. Okay, so basically they're saying that if you're paying taxes, then that means the person who's charging you shouldn't be guessing, or they shouldn't be calculating what you owe, right? Which is kind of funny because they're speaking as if the government needs profit. They don't need profit. They're the government. They print the money. Governments do not need profit to run. They are the government. We literally have a fiat currency. They don't need it. They can just print it. So the problem is that they're speaking as if, because basically Intuit is basically saying, well, this is what we would do if we were the government. But governments don't need to accrue money that way. They just don't. The only reason why governments need to tax, and I'm speaking about the federal government, is to pull money out of the system to prevent inflation and to keep a check on power of people getting too rich. On top of that, is to, especially for more state and municipal governments, is to use that tax money in order to fund programs. But government, the way we have federal government now, do we really need the tax money? They could just print it. And the problem with that is, as far as the taxes go, they continuously borrow from corporations in order to be able to have the money. But at the same time, they still print it. One person who I recommend to listen to regarding this is Professor Richard Wolff. He can explain it much better than I can. But ultimately, we live in a fiat we have a fiat currency, and we live in an economy where the government does not necessarily need the money, but at the same time, because of their cooperation with big corporations and them wanting to make as much money as possible, they basically put themselves in the corner, on top of taking us off the gold standard. And now we have the petrodollar, all these different things. So it's very convoluted. And so continues here, says the IRS is seemingly the biggest threat to Intuit and other commercial tax prep businesses, but has more frequently acted in the industry's ally, defending the free file program, even in the face of critical internal reviews. The IRS declined to comment for this article. So I want to skip forward just a little bit. So that's the CEO in the jersey next to Gene Simmons of KISS, right? And the employees are really sycophants. They talk about that at the beginning of the article. Let me go here. It says the danger to Intuit's growing business was obvious. If the government succeeded in creating a system that allowed the vast majority of taxpayers to file online for free, TurboTax profits would plummet. Intuit recognized that the notion of return-free filing was not going away on its own. It says so in 1998, the company hired Bernie McKay, a one-time Carter administration aide and senior lobbyist to AT&T, to be its vice president for corporate affairs. Intuit executives like to talk about having a customer obsession in developing their products. McKay's obsession is stopping government encroachment. Known to physically bang the table to drive home a point, McKay's style is aggressive to the point of offense, said one top fellow tax prep lobbyist. An Intuit spokesman said this mischaracterization of Mr. K is pure fiction. McKay, for his part, when asked at a recent tax industry conference which Star Wars character he is, he responded, Darth Vader. So this is a detailed article that I would like to give you guys, to show you guys, because what's happening really with this is they are doing what they can to diminish free filing from any and everybody that they can. And so they're trying to also monopolize the tax prep industry. So it's limited really to just H&R Block and TurboTax. Everything else is much more smaller. They have way less market share. Now here it says, what's more, free wasn't as unprofitable as it sounded. The alliance, guided by a lawyer who is also an Intuit lobbyist, won a series of concessions that made the program palatable to industry. Free File only required its companies to offer free federal returns. They could charge for other products. The state return was the most common, but they could also pitch loans, quote unquote, audit defense, or even products that had nothing to do with taxes. Now, I never had to worry about the state return because we don't have a state income tax here in Florida. But many other states do. So let's say you have to file your taxes and you want to do the free, right? Okay, let's say you live in Colorado or New Jersey or New York or California, whatever, wherever they have state taxes, right? And you file your federal tax return with TurboTax. But let's say you're in New Jersey and you need to file your state return too. You file your federal return is absolutely free, but the state return, that's where they get you. And now they're charging you money for the state return. And so that's the problem, is that they're going to get you no matter what, because you know you have to file the state return, but the federal return is free. There's also another thing that they do, which is very nefarious too. Says there was little incentive for the companies to publicize a free alternative to their paid products. And the IRS agreed that the free file offers need to only be listed on a special page of the agency's website. For Intuit, it was a major victory in a war against encroachment. The company could now focus on turning whatever new customers they acquired through the program into paying users both that year and in the future. The first year of free file was 2003, and for Intuit, things went well. So it says, but the next year, Intuit began to lose control of its creation. A scrappy competitor, Tax Act, decided to use free file stand out. The company decided it would try to pick up as many new customers as possible and then charge them for ancillary services. Instead of following Intuit's lead and constraining its offer to a subset of low-income taxpayers, Tax Act went the opposite direction. Why not go for an offer that's much simpler to understand? So it said it began advertising the pitch of free federal online tax preparation and e-filing for all taxpayers, no restrictions, everyone qualifies. Now here's for TurboTax. It says on their free file page, it was more difficult to parse. So it says if you are eligible for EIC, which is Earned Income Credit, are 22 years of age or younger, age 62 or older, or active military with a W-2. So those were how you file for free, right? So basically they tried to get more of these companies to limit any type of free filing so that they can make more money. And so let me go here. Intuit viewed the popularity of free file as a serious threat and took this case to Congress. That year, Brad Smith, then a senior vice president of the company and head of TurboTax, told the House committee that the current Free File Alliance program has drifted very far from its original public service purpose and objective. The program wasn't supposed to be for everyone. Said it was for the disadvantaged, underprivileged, and underserved taxpayer populations. And says Intuit's argument quickly gained traction in the IRS. Already in March 2005, the IRS had written to the Justice Department for legal advice on modifying the free file program. The agency wanted to know, would it run afoul of antitrust laws if the IRS barred companies in the Free File Alliance from offering a free product to everyone? The Justice Department responded in a 2005 May letter. Clearly wrote Renata Hess, an antitrust section chief of the department, says any agreement among alliance members to restrict such free service is likely a form of price fixing and thus illegal. But there was still a way for Intuit to get what it wanted. She wrote it that if the IRS itself were to impose such a restriction, it would be legal. So the IRS swooped in to beat back Intuit's competition, doing for Intuit what the company was not able to do what is on its own. Despite just 5 million Americans using a program that was purportedly available to 80 million, the IRS agreed that Free File needed to be reined in. And so I'm telling you guys this because a lot of us, we are in a cost of living crisis, right? This cost of living crisis is exacerbated by us having to file our taxes. And while filing our taxes, now you got companies like Intuit that are digging more into our pockets and taking money away, knowing that we have to do this. And if we don't, we'll get audited. We may get jailed. We may get arrested. We may get our wages garnished. So we have to do it. And they do that. And they know that we're scared of not doing it. And so they count on that. And this is the problem with capitalism, because they're so focused on pursuing profit that they're willing to screw over the working people of this country in order to do it. And then on top of that, they will fake having access to free filing, or they will manipulate it so that it is extremely difficult to get to. And so it tricks people into filing and being charged to file. And these are people who qualify for free filing. And so this is one of the biggest issues that I see that we really have to focus in on. And that's the problem with the system that we have right now. I am personally of the opinion that we should just basically have free filing through the IRS. Why do we have a middleman? Why do we have these corporations that they're not there to actually help us legitimately? They're there to just make money off of our fears that if we don't file, well, they're going to, then we're going to get screwed over by the IRS. We have to pay anyway. And people are like, well, we're trying to get you the most bang for your buck. And it's like, no, you're not. Because if that were the case, then you guys be more willing to do free file. Is that the goal, the interest isn't in the workers or the customer. Is the goal is the interest to maximize profits. That goes away. So I put the link to this article in the description for you guys to take a look at. But this is very detailed article. It's a long article too, so take your time with it. But I say stay away from TurboTax. Just stay away from them. Don't use them if you can, because they're going to try to drive you to charge you for filing your taxes, especially if you're just a regular worker with a W-2. Right? And then that's all you really need to do is just like try to find ways to file for free if you can. Because ultimately, companies like Intuit, they're just trying to maximize profits, and we're supposed to have an apparatus for people to file for free. And I don't understand why we should have to pay somebody to do it. Like in places like Japan, they actually don't need that. They actually calculate it all for you. And then if they owe you, then they'll just pay you, right? And if you owe them, then they'll require payment. But it's not that difficult. Like what? It shouldn't be this complex. And the crazy part is part of the article is talking about TurboTax needs it to be complex so that you need companies like TurboTax. This is why they don't want to ever change the tax code, because they're lobbying with the government to say, don't change the tax code, because if you change the tax code and simplify it, then that means that people aren't going to need us as much. And that's the part. Because it's not pro-worker. It never was. And there's something else I'm going to show you. Because when I was looking at this, I was thinking of the phrase follow the money. And part of one thing I was told that it makes sense, but because it was verbalized last night, I realized it while at the Edu Forum at Real last night. They were talking to Marxist-Leninist business owners. And one of them said that he was trying to make sure that all of the dealings in his business were completely divested out of Israel until he looked at the payment processors, right? You got the credit card machine, you got, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, right? Because people use their card more than anything now. And they invest in Israel too. So every single time you swipe your card or every single time you pay for something online, guess what? That's money going to Israel. Including when you pay your taxes. Including when you have your taxes processed and filed. Let's take a look at this. Because I thought about it. And shout out to Cliff, because you put this idea in my head, and I looked into it. Out of the Times of Israel, U.S. fintech firm Intuit to grow R&D presence in Israel. Financial software giant to set up new campus in Petah Tikva with space for 500 staff, looking to acquire additional Israeli startups. This came out 6 years ago. It says U.S. fintech firm Intuit is planning to almost triple its research and development team in Israel. Vijay Anand, the company's senior vice president for global development centers, told the Times of Israel. The firm has signed a lease to set up a new R&D campus in Petah Tikva that has the capacity to increase staff up to 500, up from its current employee count of 180. Because we lease the space for up to 500 today, but of course, the sky's the limit. Speaking at the sidelines of a cybersecurity conference last month in Tel Aviv University. Intuit provides financial management and compliance software and services for small businesses, consumers, self-employed, and accounting professionals in the United States, Canada, and elsewhere. The firm, founded in 1983, went public 10 years later with the share on sale to NASDAQ, and today employs 9,000 workers in 19 locations in 9 countries. So this is Intuit, the owner of TurboTax. And they are invested in Israel. So here's another reason to stop using TurboTax. That's a big reason. It's a big reason. Now, if you're using QuickBooks as a business owner, and here's the problem. That may be the only thing on the market right now that you can use. Is there another different software? Maybe, but they might be tied to Israel too. And this also is the argument for there's no ethical consumption in capitalism, because the tentacles are everywhere. Because even when you pay your taxes, guess what? Our government's literally giving money to Israel too. You can maybe try to diminish how much is given to them, but in the end, they're going to get some of it. This is why it is required that we change the system. We dismantle this system and rebuild a completely new system. Reform does not, has not, and will not work. This is why we say leave both parties. And when it comes to doing what you can, do mutual aid, build dual power. Now, a lot of people last week voted for mayor, right? And governor last week. Some people went with Zoran Mamdani in New York. And while voting can be a piece of what needs to be done, it is not the main thing that should be done. I'm going to repeat. While voting is a piece of something that can be done, it is not the main thing that should be done. I'll put it like this. You're making a cake, right? You got the flour, the sugar, you got the baking powder, maybe the baking soda too. You got the eggs, and then you have things like vanilla extract or cocoa powder or lemon extract, whatever, things like that, right? Can you make a cake without vanilla extract? Yeah, you can make a cake without vanilla extract. You can substitute it with cocoa powder. You can substitute it with almond extract. You can substitute it with lemon extract. There's many different flavorings you can use, right? But can you make a cake without flour? A traditional cake, can you make one without flour? No, you can't. You need the flour. That's the basis for that cake. Voting is the vanilla extract. But flour is the mutual aid and dual power. You can do mutual aid and dual power, and then if you feel the need to vote, cool. But if you're just voting, will anything truly be accomplished without you doing mutual aid and building dual power? You're just flavoring. You're not actually adding to really actually make the cake. Not really much is going to come from it. This is why you can either you can add the flour but no vanilla extract, or you can add the flour and include vanilla extract. But the flour has to be there. It's the same thing. Mutual aid and building dual power has to be there. That is the main thing. And this is why you get those Republicans and Democrats to say, all you got to do is vote, because they know that if you do anything that involves adding the flour, they don't want that cake to be made. That's why they say, just focus on the vanilla extract. Just focus on the cocoa powder. Just focus on the cinnamon. They want you to focus just on that. They don't want you to focus on what actually makes the cake the cake. So make the cake, baby. Make the cake. Now, if you want to add the vanilla extract or the cinnamon or the cocoa powder, you want to add that? Go ahead. Fine. Cool. But let's make sure we have our priorities in place. That's why I say what I said. Now, people are going to go, Jaybe, okay, you said all that, but what solution is there if we can't use something like TurboTax? I'm glad you asked. Now, it may not be the perfect solution, but it is a solution. Go straight to them. IRS.gov. Direct file. File taxes for free directly with the IRS. So it says prepare and file your federal taxes online directly with the IRS. It's always free, easy to use, accurate, and secure. It says have an IRS account, then use the same sign in for direct file to verify your identity. So here's the eligibility. It says you can use direct file if you lived and worked in a participating state and report certain income, credits, and deductions. Answer a few questions to find out direct file is the right option for your 2024 taxes. So this is for 2024. It's going to update starting January 1st for 2025. But basically, you have Alaska, Arizona, California, Connecticut, Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington State, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. So you have these particular ones, right? Like for instance, there's states like Mississippi aren't on here. Alabama's not on here. So some states aren't on there, but a huge chunk of states are on there, right? It says you can't use direct file if you don't live or work in one of these states for all of 2024. It's going to update 2025, but it says now the income that you get that qualifies you is if you have a W-2 wage income, which a huge amount of us will have, Social Security Administration 1099 Social Security income, or the SSA 1099, the 1099G unemployment compensation, 1099 INT interest income, 1099R retirement income, 1099 MISC or miscellaneous for Alaska residents reporting the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend. You can't use direct file if you have other types of income such as gig economy, rental, or business income. So then these are the credits that you get: earned income credit, child tax credit, credit for other dependents, child and dependent care credit, premium tax credit, credit for elderly or disabled, and retirement savings contributions credit. It says if you live in Washington State, direct file will guide you to your state site where you can apply for the working families tax credit. And then it talks about the deductions, filing state returns. So it doesn't do file a state return. So you will have to do it separately, but maybe on your state's website, if you can go to your state and file with your state, you might be able to do it for free in your state. So you'll probably just have to do it twice. You might have to do federal and state separately, but at least you're not paying any money to do it. Or even if it is from the state, it might be cheaper. And then they also will have customer support, right? And they say they have free options. Those free options may be other sites that you could possibly use. And I would try to stay away from TurboTax and Intuit if at all possible. So this is also linked in the description below. So we literally have like about a month and a half left before January 1st. So you guys actually have a month and a half before we start tax season. But one thing I will say is that, you know, we have to find ways to at least minimize the harm that is done with our money. We can't completely eliminate it because this system is so deeply ingrained in doing it. But I think it's important that we do what we can, when we can, how we can, and also helping other people to be able to do the same, so then we can actually have, more peace of mind while we build dual power and try to end the system. And so, I'll be trying to do the best that I can, and honestly, easier said than done, but it can be done. So, if you guys would like to share this particular video so that people know what's what, but I think it's important that we focus on where our money goes. We got to follow the money, and this also will strengthen us, in our minds to try to end the system so that our money goes to something more dignified and worthwhile in the future. All right, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much to everybody. Let's check to see if we have any Rumble rants, and then we shall go into the YouTube chat. Okay. All right. We're decent on Rumble right now, so no Rumble rants. Let's go into the YouTube chat. All right. Let me see. All right. Roger says the argument is that if we nationalize, then you'll be putting businesses out of business and people out of jobs. My argument is, were you concerned about people being put out of jobs by Doge? Ooh, that's a good comeback. Ooh, Roger. Ooh, spicy Roger is the best Roger. All right, thank you very much. Jacqueline says, hey, Jaybe, hey, everyone. Just so you know, I don't know what TurboTax is on the poll, but it doesn't sound good, whatever it is. Yeah, and this is really for people who live in the United States. Make sure to take that poll. Let me make sure I have that poll up so I can take a look at it and go over it with you guys. But I think a lot of people should take the poll because a lot of us have used TurboTax in the past. Knowing what it is now, and the crazy part was Hassan Minaj had talked about it, and he actually created a website to direct you to all free filing websites. Let me see if I can find it again and see. Okay, hang on. Okay. So, yeah, so Hassan Minaj, yeah, so I'm gonna share it with you guys here. Unfortunately, this site is no longer up, but I'm gonna share this with you right quick. So Hassan Minaj actually compiled all of the sites and the links for the free filing from all the companies that actually have free filing so that it's not hidden from you anymore, which I definitely applaud what he did. But here's what it is. It was called TurboTaxSucksAss.com. I know. It's hilarious. But that was with Hassan Minaj, and he actually had posted that, so that, and this was back in 2020. And so it was literally a site where it was compiled all of the sites that are required to have free filing. And they would hide the links. Well, somebody got a hand of all the links, and they posted them all on one website. So all you had to do was go to TurboTax.com, right? I'm not going to say the whole word because I only said it once. I'm only going to say it once because, I'm going to do it like, a pin place name Slickback. But anyways, because of that site, that was a thorn in TurboTax's side. And because he did that, that pushed a lot of people into, oh, well, I don't have to be charged. And so I don't want people to be charged. But now knowing what I know about what they're doing in Israel, I don't want to use TurboTax. No way. So yeah, there you have it. And so now when you try to go to it, it completely like pushes you to like, oh my God, there's a virus on your computer now. That's the problem, you know. So that's why I don't use that anymore. But let's go into, let me see. All right. So let's go into this. Let me share the screen. Okay. So out of 40 votes, it says, if you live in the US, do you use TurboTax? 45% said yes, I do or have used it. Another 45% said no, I don't and have never used it. And then 10% said, what is TurboTax? So I'm glad 45% said no, I don't and have never used it. I'm glad about that. I'm hoping that more people stop using it because they're terrible. They are terrible. All right. Let's go into the rest of the chat here. Let me see. Roger says 11 out of 17 constitutional ballot measures amendments put on the ballot by Texas legislature were about taxes. Yeah. You see, Henry says Google UMKC Buckaroos to see how to start a new monetary system. You see, Jacqueline says you can make a cake without butter, though. It comes out like a Swiss roll. Am I a cake without butter? Because I'm totally a Swiss roll. Let me shut up. All one same says, same with so-called recycling. Manufacturers should have to take back all the trash they fountain on us through packaging. That's actually a really good point, too. Jimmy Apple says, teaching us about taxes and banking. You miss your calling as a home ec teacher. Love your content today. Thank you so very much. Appreciate that. Roger says South Dakota has such a regressive tax system that not only rivals Florida and Texas, but has become a tax haven capital of the world. Looking for a haven? Forget Cayman Islands. Park it in South Dakota. Wow. Let me see. Rashid says H&R Block rips off Mac users by charging extra for state tax form, but it doesn't download onto your computer when you download it. H&R Block, they be on some BS too, man. I'm telling you. H&R Block, man. Yeah. So I hope you guys end up going straight to IRS to be able to file instead. Or if you guys find a site that's not connected to Israel, and that all you can do free filing, then go ahead and do that. But that's really hurting the workers, man. That's really hurting us. Let's get into the next segment. But before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to the patrons on Patreon. You see, here at our Revolutionary Blackout Network, we try to not just talk the talk, but also walk the walk. And when it comes to the actions that we do on the ground, we try to do as much mutual aid as we possibly can so that we can help build not only our communities, but also class consciousness and solidarity among different groups as well. And this will help us to be able to have a dual system so that once this decrepit, disgusting, twisted system is gone, there's no vacuum there. There's already a system set up in place that actually is dignified for all of us so that we can be able to have a better future for every single person, not just a small few. And we do this through also not just informing people, but also trying to be the example and be the government that we want to see. So thank you very much for that. All right, guys, let's get into the next one. Now, it's time for us to get into the good news. The good news. I love it. I love it. Water your plants, people, and water yourselves. All right. Let's talk about the kids. Good news for 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 the good news for the kids. Okay, guys, look, I saw these stories. One, some people already know about because it was reported on, but I want to include that in this. But another story just came out too. So we're going to start off with this one because I think this one is very important. And then we're going to go to the latest one, which I think is great. But a lot of people were talking about Zohran Mamdani and wanting to also implement universal childcare in New York. But New Mexico done beat him to it. So let's go to this because I want to share this as well. And this is a good news story. Look, let's celebrate the wins whenever we can because these are worthy wins. Let's go.
State in the nation to guarantee no-cost universal child care. Elizabeth Schulze is here with those details. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Robin. This is a groundbreaking initiative in New Mexico offering free child care to all residents in the state. Starting November 1st, all New Mexico families, regardless of their income, will be eligible for child care assistance for infants and toddlers. There also won't be any co-pays. This is expected to save the typical family more than $12,000 per year. New Mexico.
Okay, so anybody that knows that gotta send their kid to daycare because they gotta go to work, that's expensive. Unless you can apply for VPK, like it's expensive. Daycare is expensive. And so how are workers going to be able to make ends meet if they're constantly having to pay for daycare? That's not fair. You got the people who have of means who are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. If they got a little kid at home, either one, they can afford to stay home and be stay-at-home parents, or if they don't want to be stay-at-home parents, because really it's a choice for them, because they're making that much money, they can choose to stay at home. They actually have the money to do it. Or if they want to, they can either hire a nanny, which some do, or they can send their kids to, preschool or, a daycare, and they have the money to do it. But what if you're only making maybe $55,000, maybe $60,000 a year? What do you do? Because your rent is high, your light bill is through the roof. They're going up on phone bills. Your car, if you own a car, your car payment, your insurance is skyrocketing. Then you try to get food at the grocery store. You used to be able to shop pretty decently at Aldi, but now you got to go to Save a Lot. And even then, Save a Lot, you still can't, things are getting too high over there. So what do you do? And the thing is, you try to cut costs, but you need your health insurance. You got a kid. You need your health insurance. And you can't just take your kid out of daycare because then you can't take your kid to work and you can't leave your kid by himself. So you're stuck. And so this is a good thing. because this helps out the working class with their kids so that they do not have to spend all this money for childcare. This to me is a step in the right direction. Now, I personally would like for the parents to be able to stay home with their own kid. Number one, it gives them more time to spend with their kid. And number two, they're being paid enough so that they do not have to, at least one parent can still stay within the home, whether it's the mom, the dad, two dads, two moms, just two parents, whatever. I don't care. But as long as you have a parent that's still home, right? And so we need more things like this. This is a step in the right direction. And so this is a win. And this also helps the working class because now they're not putting out all this money to pay for daycares. They're not putting out all this money. So that means that's money that they're retaining when it comes to costs for healthcare, food, electricity and utilities. This is money that they're saving for that emergency that may come up, right? The car payment, or what if they need, the car to get fixed? What if the radiator goes, in the car goes, or the water pump? You know what I'm saying? Or they need a new tire, right? It's like all these different things that could happen. And so this is something I think is a great thing that should be celebrated whenever it happens in other parts of the country. So let's continue.
Year. New Mexico Democratic Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham saying in a statement, by investing in universal childcare, we are giving families financial relief, supporting our economy, and ensuring that every child has the opportunity to grow and thrive. As always, the big question here is how to pay for this. The governor is requesting an additional $120 million in funding at the next legislative session. And some state Republicans are now questioning if giving higher income people free childcare makes sense. They're calling this nannies for millionaires. There's also the reality of a shortage of childcare workers. So New Mexico is offering incentives to childcare centers to encourage them to try to boost worker pay. Really trying to set a model here for other states in this issue that's so important for so many families, Michael.
Yeah, that sure is an important issue. Thank you so much for that, Elizabeth.
So the whole giving this this incentive also to people who are high income earners, I don't care. High income earners still get Social Security after they turn 65. High income earners still get Medicare after they turn 65. Okay. But here's you know why some people are against this? Because it's a universal program. And if it's a universal program, that means that if everybody gets it, it's harder to take away. If we had single payer healthcare over a nationalized healthcare system, guess who also gets it? The rich and wealthy get it too. I don't care if they get it. I care if the poorest of the poorest among us get it. And if it also positively affects the people who are the wealthiest, all right, fine. They're also the ones that are going to be paying more in taxes for it too. Okay, cool. But I'm focused on the tangibles that actually help the working class. Now, here's my thing. People will say, well, that was what the Democrats did. And it's like, okay, but now are they going to go further? Oh, they're not? They're just going to stop with that? Because here's the problem with the Democrats. They'll do one good thing and then they'll ride on that while everything else falls around them. And so this is why I don't give Democrats a pass. They may do the right thing. I'll give them credit where credit is due, but they still fall on many different things. This is why both parties are still trash. Because they should have been done this. However, I will say I'm glad this is done. Right? It should have been done. This is a duh issue. It should have been done decades decades upon decades ago. But this is a good story. This is good news because working people, we're working class in New Mexico, are now not going to have to spend so much money on daycare for their little kids. Gotta clap it up. Gotta clap it up. This is a win for the working class. I'm happy that that happened for them. And I want that to expand across the board. And it will expand across the board even easier if we got rid of this system. And if you think free childcare across the board is good, just wait till we get tuition-free college and university across the board. See, never be satisfied with what they do because they'll only take you so far. Always go beyond what they say. Oh, well, we did this. And it's like, all right, fine, okay. But we can go beyond that. Because if you can give free childcare to all little kids in the state, then guess what? You can also do tuition-free public college, universities, and trade and vocational schools too. But how are we going to fund it the same way you did for free childcare? But you're raising the taxes on job creators. They're not the ones that create jobs. They're the ones that extract all the wealth. So if they're going to extract all the wealth, then guess what? We're going to charge them more for it. You want to take, then guess what? You're going to give. So you better give it up. I ain't playing with these people. I'm not playing with them. Oh, well, they're all going to leave. All right, fine. Bye, deuces. Peace. I don't care. Leave. Look, people are going to get mad at me for this, but it is what it is, whatever. Whether we extract being a billionaire out of existence through taxation and fines and fees, or they self-deport, either way, I'm all good with it. And if they decide to self-deport, all of their business interests no longer exist in the country because they are no longer contributing to our country anyway. So therefore, they should not even be able to do business. If they want to live someplace else, but then charge us up the yin yang without actually contributing to our country. Or if you want to leave your business, all right, fine. You can't make money here either. But yes, celebrate it. Don't play it, hate, celebrate. There's something else that I saw that I also want to talk about. It's a story. It was a story. Let's get into this too. Because I want to go to Colorado. All right, baby. Let's get into this. This is a good one too. Let's talk about food, y'all.
The Secretary of State's office shows just over 315,000 ballots have been turned in so far. El Paso County is leading the charge with just over 47,000 ballots. Now, Colorado voters are weighing two new measures that could affect how every student in the state eats lunch. News 5's Michelle Reyes joins us in studio with a look at what's on the ballot and also what it could mean for schools and taxpayers. Michelle.
Megan, 3 years ago, voters approved Proposition FF, creating healthy school meals for all. It gives every K through 12 student in Colorado free breakfast and lunch. But that funding is now running thin, and two new measures on the ballot, LL and MM, aim to keep the program going.
So this was 2 weeks ago that they're talking about this ballot measure. So let's see about what it talks about.
I asked parents their take on the ballot measures.
Not having to worry about whether they have money or if they're going to be able to eat at school each day just takes one thing off of our plates.
I like school lunches, however, I do not support it because it is actually a blank check to remove Tabor in the future.
But what do those two measures really mean? Proposition LL would let the state keep about $12 million in surplus tax revenue it collected beyond what voters approved in 2022. Those funds would stay in the Healthy School Meals for All program instead of being refunded under taxpayers' Bill of Rights.
600,000 kids across Colorado benefited from Healthy School Meals for All, and we want to continue to extend that through the passage of Proposition LL and MM.
Proposition MM would reduce tax deductions only for households making over $300,000 a year, generating roughly $95 million annually for the meal program. Critics like John Caldera argue not everyone should have a say in the decision.
So let's go back over this number again. So it says deductions for Coloradans. It cuts deductions for Coloradans earning over $300,000 a year and raising $95 million a year for free public school meals. So they're just not going to be able to deduct as much. Are you okay with not being able to deduct as much if every child gets a free school meal? Or are you a jerk? Are you a heartless, cruel jerk? I'm gonna lay it down like it is. Because if you're okay with kids starving, there's something wrong with you. Actually, if you're okay with human beings starving, I think there's something morally and ethically wrong with you. So, and these are people making $300,000 a year. 300,000? Come on. They're not exactly hurting y'all. They're not.
Program. Critics like John Caldera argue not everyone should have a say in the decision.
Since the tax is only on people who are making over $300,000, shouldn't people who only make $300,000 be the ones voting on this? Because
no, hold up, wait a minute. Okay, by your very logic, then I should have a say on education when it comes to kids, because I don't have kids participating in it, but they're still taking taxes away from me to pay for the kids to go to school. So therefore, they shouldn't have a say. Only I should have a say. I don't use all the roads in this city, and yet my tax money goes to them. I don't have black lungs, so why should I have to pay for people who, get subsidies and programs for people with black lung? Like, people are trying to argue being heartless under the guise of fairness. Oh, well, we shouldn't provide meals for all the kids because, and the thing is, like, these people who make all this money, they're going to say no to giving food for kids. They're going to say no. You know that. You and I both know they're going to say no because they don't care about them. If they don't care about us when we're adults, you think they care about us when we're kids? No. They don't care because they want to keep as much money as possible. Gosh, these arguments are just... And plus, on top of that, well, hang on. Let me get back big again. Plus, on top of that, feeding these kids is an investment for the future. They always want their money now. They never want to invest into the future. Jesus Christ, these people, I'm telling you, man, heartless as hell.
on this, because that's the one you're taking it from. That's the group you're taking it from.
Caldera says inflation and raising incomes could push more families into that bracket over time.
So they're not just taxing somebody else, they're taxing their future selves.
Supporters.
Wait, what? They're taxing their future? Bro. The money that the people who are the richest are getting, they're not putting that money back into the system. They're taking that money and they're keeping it out. This actually takes the money and puts it back into the hands of the people, and it feeds the people. Just arguing for the bootlickers. He's a bootlicker arguing for the billionaires. I can't stand it.
Like Habwasa say the program goes beyond feeding children, but also strengthens the local food economy.
They actually preserve the program so that we can actually retain some funds to help fund it in perpetuity. And they also, again, like I said, continue to create that economy that helps farmers, cafeteria workers, and children get fed.
Caldera says.
So she said farmers, cafeteria workers as well. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that. But this also affects farmers and cafeteria workers. Just like how everybody's talking about, oh my God, SNAP benefits getting cut. All these people are mooching off the government. So we need to allow SNAP benefits to be cut. Meanwhile, the farmers who actually make money off of sending their goods to grocery stores are now going to be making even less, because the SNAP benefits that would have paid for that food is now not paying the farmers. And on top of that, the people who work in these cafeterias, right? Well, guess what? If you have less kids being able to pay for it, that means you're going to need less cafeteria workers, right? Or not less cafeteria workers, but they have a provision that benefits for cafeteria workers to actually cook the food, which means more workers, which means it's going to benefit them even more. I thought we were all about the workers, right? I thought that's what it was supposed to be about. Apparently, no, it's about the rich.
The program's original promise of sourcing food locally hasn't fully happened, and taxpayers shouldn't foot the bill for all students.
There was not enough money. There was not enough planning. The promise that the food would be locally sourced never happened.
At the end of the day, we have an incredible opportunity to support our local economy, our local agricultural economy, as well as our local food system.
FLL.
So the guy says, oh, they're not locally sourced. It's kind of hard to locally source when the politicians give a lot of the proceeds and the subsidies and the land to big corporations to do factory farming, so that the small local farmers can't even actually operate within the area, and then they end up going out of business. You know, it's kind of funny how they complain about it, when in reality, if you guys didn't give all the money to the big corporate powers, especially a big agriculture, then we would still have small farmers that could be able to provide the healthy food for these kids. I mean, it would be more fair if we just started like getting rid of the big factory farms and just have more local farms so that they can actually provide for the kids. And then it also would be circulating more money amongst the people within the local economy, instead of it going to a bunch of big corporations where these people actually live in places like the Hamptons and Calabasas. I thought it was about the workers. I thought it was about the people. And so if we're going to talk, if you want to talk about farming, okay, let's talk about farming. Why in the hell are we still allowing Monsanto to do what it does in regards to farmers being able to conserve and save their seeds? Why are we allowing them to continue basically pillaging our farmers across this nation? Crazy, man, crazy. It's like y'all let this happen. And by y'all, I'm not talking about one particular party. I'm talking about both parties. Oh boy, I'm telling you. Crazy, crazy.
Food system.
If LL passes but fails, the program keeps some funding but won't expand. If passes and LL fails, new revenue comes in, but leftover funds are refunded. Only if both pass does the program expand and fully continue uninterrupted, meaning more local food grants, fully funded staff raises, and long-term stability.
If either fails, funding could be cut, forcing the state to scale back or risk ending the program by 2026. In studio, I'm Michelle Reyes, News 5. Back to you, Megan.
Okay. So that was what they were speaking about in regards to the ballot measure of LL and MM. Now, let's go to this. Because I want to share with you guys, they voted it on Tuesday. Let's see the results. So Proposition LL, it has passed. It has passed with 66.1% of the vote. 66.15% of the vote was passed for Proposition LL. For Proposition MM, it passed at 59.68% of the vote. So people said yes to giving money so that kids can universally eat lunch in their school. No child goes hungry. This is something to celebrate. This is good news. I want you guys to walk away happy about this because kids in Colorado are now going to be able to continue to eat for free without actually having to worry about being paywalled to eat. And remember when I talked about what happened in New Mexico just a few minutes ago with free childcare? Oh, did you know they also have free school lunches in New Mexico too? Yeah. It's happening across the country because people are sick and tired of seeing children starve. We're already watching children being starved in Gaza right now. We're going to watch the children here in front of our eyes starve as well. Let's be real here. This is our future we're talking about. Whether they're in Gaza, whether they're in Sudan, whether they're in Harlem, whether they are in Baltimore, I don't care. They should be fed. They should be well taken care of. Here is the article that actually discusses it. And this is out of the Colorado Sun. It says Coloradans voted on Tuesday to increase taxes on wealthy households to fully fund free breakfast and lunch for all public school kids and bolster the federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP or food stamps. So, this is interesting. It says any leftover funding will go towards new state costs for administering the SNAP program as a result of cuts enacted by the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress earlier this year. So, now, it says Proposition MM will bring new revenue by reducing the income tax deductions that can be claimed by Colorado households earning at least $300,000 in federal adjusted gross income. Nonpartisan legislative staff estimated that an average single filer earning $300,000 or more in adjusted gross income will owe an additional $327 in taxes, and the average joint filer earning $300,000 or more will owe an extra $574. The change will affect an estimated 200,000 households, or about 6% of households filing taxes in Colorado. That dude that was arguing against it is upset that someone making $300,000 will pay an extra $327 to $574 a year. Oh my God! Oh no! What do you mean $300? What do you mean $500? Oh no! Where? This is what they're crying about. To feed all the kids? You're whining if you make $300,000 or more. We're talking about people making 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, $1 million, $1.5 million. What? You mean to tell me you guys are crying over somebody paying what, $574 more to make sure that the kids don't starve? And you're making $300,000 a year? Get the heck out of here, man. I'm glad this passed, because the kids deserve to not only eat, but they deserve to eat good, healthy food. One of my mottos is everybody eats. Everybody. Your mama, your daddy, your sister, your cousin, your auntie, your mammy, your grandpappy, everybody eats. Your best friend, even your enemy, they all eat. Because why in the world, why do we live in a country where we see food as a luxury? No, absolutely not. It is a human necessity. It is part of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You can't live life if you're dead. You can't have liberty if you're dead. You can't pursue happiness if you're dead. And yet, they want to argue against it? Well, we don't want to give free stuff to people who are just going to mooch off the government. Well, if you don't want to give free stuff to people who are going to mooch off the government, then stop giving money to billionaires. We want to talk about mooching off the government. Stop giving money to Bill Ackman. Stop giving money to Robert Kraft. Stop giving money to Michael Bloomberg. Stop giving money to Elon Musk and his racist ass. Stop giving money to them. Stop allowing them to. Look, if they really want to compete in the free market, then compete in the free market, then guess what? Do it without any assistance from the government. Do it. Fine. Do it. But you ain't getting nothing from us. Diddly squat. And yet they can't. They cannot do it. They can't. I'm telling you, man, the hypocrisy of it all. All right. Only 200,000 households will be affected. 6%, right? So I'm glad that the leftover will go to SNAP program, because people should not starve. And look, I'm not just a proponent of making sure that kids eat, but their parents deserve to eat too. It says Keep Kids Fed Colorado was the committee's proposing propositions LL and MM. It raised nearly $740,000 through October 27th and spent about $645,000 of that haul. Major donors to the committee include Hunger Free Colorado, Nourish Colorado, and Save the Children Action Networks, which are all nonprofits. Billionaire Pat Stryker, a prolific donor to the Democratic campaigns and causes from Colorado, and Rose Community Foundation were also major donors to the group. So here's one thing I will say, and this is what billionaires will do, is to try to improve their public persona. They will, they will donate to causes like this because it makes them look good in front of the workers. But I'll be honest with you, even the billionaire who funded the pushing of this proposal should also be taxed out of being a billionaire, or even 100 millionaire. He should be taxed all the way down, because that money is money that was extracted from the wealth of workers. I don't care if he donated to it. He should not have that much money, because that money is extracted surplus value from the workers. And he's one of the reasons why Colorado is in the mess that it's in, because you hoarded all that wealth already. So now you're trying to clean up your own mess. This is not going to like completely clear the red, right? Now they talked about there wasn't any opposition, but the editor's note is really interesting. It says the Bohemian Foundation, funded by Pat Stryker, that billionaire, has been a financial supporter of the Colorado Sun, which is the article that we're reading from. Donors have no influence over editorial decisions. I call BS, because now this kind of makes it look good, to him. It's no different than somebody like a Jeff Bezos owning the Washington Post. But besides all that, I think this is a good thing, because now kids are not going to starve in Colorado. But like I said about the other good news story, let's push for mutual aid and building dual power and taking it even further. What is further? Everybody eats. Nobody starves. And people go, well, how are we going to pay for it? First of all, why don't we slash that military budget? Why don't we slash that? All this countryside that we got, that we could actually do more farming on, and allow homeowners to actually start growing gardens in their front and backyards, making it so that homeowners associations can no longer ban it. What about getting rid of factory farming and making an incentive for people to actually start farming again? What about making an incentive for co-op farming? Right? We can do this. It just takes a changing of the system. Be happy about this news story. Be glad, because my thing is, this shows that we can do so much more. This is just a very thin spread of icing on the cake. We got a big, huge bowl full of icing that we can just lop it on. And this is what I want to do. But that means we got to bake the cake. And that mutual aid and dual power is part of making that cake. So then we can make that thick, nice layer of icing to go on it. Right? Let's make more stories like this happen. Because together, not only will we make it happen, but we will be ensuring our futures for a millennia and more. Go ahead and like the stream. Thank you so very much to everybody. Much appreciated. All right, let's get into the comments. Let me check to see any Rumble rants. All right, we are good on the Rumble side. No Rumble rants. Let's get into the rest of this chat. You can't vote out fascism, says JB. You're a cronut. You're sweet, buttery, and full of layers. Did you just call me buttery? All right, now you can't vote out fascism. I see you. Look, don't you get me in trouble on the stream. Because, see, I won't get in trouble with Rome because me and Rome, Rome's kind of like my partner in crime. But I do not want to go to the next meeting with Nick and Savvy. And they're like, JB, you need to start behaving yourself, man. I do not need them to reprimand me. All right? I'm trying to behave. I'm trying to behave. I'm trying to behave. Try to see me get butter all over myself. Let me shut up. Let me stop. Let me stop. Oh, quick while I'm ahead. JB, stop it. Over here trying to butter me up. I love this audience. Y'all are awesome. Okay. Thomas Ramirez says the IRS is connected to Israel. We can't win. Don't want to accidentally spread pessimism. We do what we can, and we try to minimize the damage that we do. Henry says, friendly reminder, the U.S. federal government can fully afford to fund all states. The competition for tax revenue equals war on the poor. Just get federal funding. Thank you very much for that. Jacqueline says, I'm just going to check if TurboTax is available in UK. And if it is, I'm wondering how many businesses are using it. Yeah, and a lot of businesses use QuickBooks, which is by Intuit as well. And if a business is using it, is there another type of bookkeeping software that they can use? If not, then it is what it is. But our problem is that companies like Intuit, they are deeply invested with Israel. Roger says, well, what if we reverse that and give companies tax incentives to do remote work? Then you won't even need universal health care. You're home with your kids and making sure they're okay while you're working. I see. Universal childcare now. Okay, you had me there for a second. Okay, what if we reverse that and give tax incentives to do remote work? Then you wouldn't even need universal childcare. You're home with your kids, making sure they're okay while you're working. I mean, my thing is, it's like, look, that's a possibility. I mean, you can give companies incentives to do remote work. At the same time, though, they should just be paying parents enough to take the issue of money off the table. But this is why I think workers should really own the companies instead. Roger says Cuomo said he was going to leave for Florida, but wait, hold up. Not after first giving it the old college try and take a crack at running for retiring Congressman Nadler's seat for Congress. Well, I don't want to hear nothing more about Cuomo anymore. Cuomo just needs to take him and his nipple rings and go. All right, just leave. I'm sick and tired of looking at Cuomo. And you live in New York. I don't know how you do it. I'm so sorry. Jimmy Apple says 33% of Coloradans would like you and your hungry child to F off when you're done with your shift and didn't be late for your next one. Oh, and make your rent, please. Yep. Nonsense says, don't live in the USA. Interested in what happens in USA for solidarity reasons and because my country is part of the vassals of the empire and revolution in the USA could benefit Europe too. That's true. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Approximately 7% of Colorado households make over $300,000 a year. He butthurt. Well, he needs to get some preparation H if his butt hurts. Stop trying to make kids starve. Jerk. I'm talking to him, not you, Roger. People. Don't you start. I'm not even reading the comment. Don't you start. No. You trying to get me in trouble. You trying to get me in trouble. Red Scare Claire says, have you ever tried to work with 3-year-olds in the background? Look, my great nephew, he just turned 3. And I was folding clothes. And that was a job. Yeah. We need universal childcare. We need it. My goodness. And then Hempcar says, PBS local food discovery. We are all eating nanotechnology. Interesting. Thank you very much for that, Hempcar. All right. Okie dokie. Oh, hang on. I did not see this. Let me make sure. Oh. All right. This just came in. We got a Rumble rant, y'all. Okay, let me make sure I highlight this. All right, Jimmy Apples, thank you very much. He said, here's dollars. I appreciate it. Jimmy, let me see. Jimmy Apples, so appreciate it for the Rumble rant. Appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's interesting. Rent seekers be like, I don't care about nothing but my money until people can't pay their rent. All of a sudden, they're Americans again. We got to deal with the billionaire fat cat corporate soybean farmers. I wish that was a joke. Interesting. Oh my gosh. Whew. Wow. Okay. All right. So thank you guys so very much. Let's get, we're going into another vortex here. All right, guys. All right. I'm headed out. Got to do the damn thing. I'm going to grab me some lunch. And boy, I'm tired. Whew. I love my comrades. My social battery is drained. But, you know, it's kind of like a good drain because, you know, I got to have good conversations and be with people who really are compassionate, but they're also really brilliant and they care about the world. So yeah, I'm drained, but I'm drained in a good way. Kind of like going to the pool or going to the beach, but then you're drained afterwards and you need to fall asleep. But it was a good day at the beach. It's like that. It's like that. But guys, take care. By the way, I also have a really special announcement that's going to be happening on Tuesday. So guys, stay tuned for that. I cannot wait for this announcement. On my channel, it'll be on Tuesday. So I cannot wait to tell you guys what's going on. I've been cooking in the kitchen, and no, not the regular kitchen, the kitchen. All right. So we'll be talking about that on Tuesday. And I hope you guys are happy with the results. And also, yeah, I will see you guys on, I think we will be doing the Savvy and Jaybe show this Thursday. Next Sunday, there will be no Jaybe show. I'll be doing mutual aid again. I'll be getting together with Real to do mutual aid again. So I will be doing that. So you guys will not see me next Sunday. However, the holidays are coming up too. And so there's a lot of people that need assistance. So if you guys can do mutual aid out there, let me know. If you guys are doing mutual aid, and if you're on Twitter, that godforsaken app, tag me, let me know, let me share, you know, if you guys are doing mutual aid out there too. All right. Let a brother know, because I want to see you all doing it. And I want to see, look, even if it's just you and one other friend, y'all get together like $25 and y'all hand out a couple of care packages, and that's all you could do. I don't care. Just do something for your neighbors, and then let them know that this system isn't all what there is. All right. Education is also part of mutual aid, so make sure you educate while you're doing it. All right, guys. Time for me to head on out. Water your plants, water yourselves. Leave the world better than you found it. Smoke them if you got them, drink them if you got them. If you ain't got them, then watch something funny, because joy is revolutionary. Read because reading is fundamental. Or look at good news stories like we just did and smile to yourself and think, you know what? We can go even further. And here's how. All right, guys. Love you guys for watching. Please stay vigilant, and please continue to love your neighbors and love yourselves. Be kind to everybody. Mwah. Forehead kisses. Deuces. Bruces.